I remember the day my dreams collided with harsh reality. My name is Helena Montez, and at 35, I stand as a senior bank executive in the heart of New York City. The city pulses with energy, a wild heartbeat that mirrors my own ambition. From my office high above the streets, I look down at the busy lives below, each person a thread in the tapestry of this vibrant metropolis. I grew up in a modest neighborhood, my family often struggling to make ends meet. I remember the nights we sat at the dinner table, counting every penny, because my parents believed that security was the ultimate goal. They could never understand my desire for more than just financial stability. I craved power, influence, and the kind of success that radiates confidence. My ambitions were often dismissed as youthful dreams, but I knew I was destined for greater things. I had worked my way up from the bottom, starting as just a teller, losing myself in numbers and transactions while dreaming of a future where I would be recognized not just for my hard work, but for my brilliance. Then came the day that changed everything. I was engaged to Daniel, a charming man whose laughter filled the empty spaces of my world. We were planning a wedding on the rooftop of a high-rise, the skyline a glittering backdrop to our love story. I was lost in the dream of our future together. But beneath the surface, I sensed a quiet tension growing between us. He often spoke of my ambition in a tone that felt both admiring and dismissive, like a child patting his pet for being clever, while secretly wishing it would act more like a lapdog. I remember the day he called off the wedding. The sun was bright, the sky an unblemished blue, and I was standing at the altar, surrounded by flowers and friends, when he walked in, his face pale and tense. My heart raced, a drum sound echoing in my ears as he stammered out the words that shattered my world. I cannot go through with this, Helena. I need someone who can fit into my life, not someone who is always striving for more. Those words hung in the air, mocking me, an icy wind cutting through the warmth of my dreams. I felt betrayed, abandoned at the moment I needed him the most. My hands trembled as I clutched the bouquet, a symbol of everything that would never be. I had invested so much into our future, into this love that had seemed so perfect, only to have it ripped away like a fragile sheet of paper. The laughter that once filled my world faded into a haunting silence, leaving only echoes of my shattered expectations. If you love Helena's journey, like and subscribe to join her next chapter. Bursty with anguish, I threw myself into my work. I buried myself in spreadsheets and meetings, determined to drown out the pain of betrayal. I became known not just as a dedicated employee, but as a formidable force in the banking world. I learned to navigate the intricate politics of finance, outsmarting competitors, and winning deals that made my reputation soar. But as my career flourished, my heart remained heavy. I had lost the one person I thought would stand by me, and I was left to question everything I had ever believed in. I began to see Daniel in a new light, not just as a lost love, but as a reminder of what I never wanted to become. I refused to let his rejection define me. I poured my anger into my career, wielding my ambition like a weapon. I secured a promotion that had once seemed out of reach, taking on responsibilities that sent shockwaves through the bank. But with my rise came whispers of jealousy and skepticism. I was labeled as ruthless, a woman who would stop at nothing to climb the ladder. I reveled in the chaos, using it to fuel my momentum. I built a network of allies and supporters, surrounding myself with people who respected my drive and ambition. I thrived on the thrill of the chase, the adrenaline rush of closing deals that left others in awe. The more I achieved, the more I felt empowered, as if I were carving my name into the skyline that once felt so distant. Yet in the quiet moments when the office lights dimmed and the city below fell into slumber, I still felt the sting of Daniel's betrayal. It was a bitter reminder that love could turn into a weapon, a cruel twist in the story I had thought would end happily ever after. I realized that while I had gained so much, I had also lost the ability to trust. I wore my ambition like armor, but deep down I still craved connection, understanding, and the warmth of a shared dream. I began to wonder if I could ever allow someone in again. My heart was a fortress, built on the ashes of what had once been a beautiful love story. And then, as fate would have it, I found myself face to face with Daniel again at a charity gala. The air crackled with tension as our eyes met across the room. He had changed. There was a weariness in his gaze that hadn't been there before. I felt a rush of emotions, anger, betrayal, and unexpected longing. I was no longer the woman he had once known. I was stronger, more confident, and infinitely more successful. As we spoke, I realized he was no longer the man I had loved. The hurt had morphed into a complicated blend of nostalgia and indifference. I listened as he spoke of his regrets, his voice laced with a longing that echoed my own. It was bittersweet, the recognition that we had both lost something precious. But in that moment, I felt a shift. I had reclaimed my power. I would not allow his presence to shake the foundation I had built. And as I walked away from him that night, I knew I had emerged stronger than ever before. I had owned my ambition, faced my betrayal, and survived the storm. It was time to focus on the future, to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead, without the shadow of the past holding me back. Justice had been served cold, not in the way I had once imagined, but through the profound realization that my worth was not tied to someone else's approval. I was Helena Montez, a force to be reckoned with, and I had only just begun my journey. The skyline was mine for the taking, and so I embraced the horizon, ready to carve my path in a world that would remember my name. Join me as I continue to rise, an unstoppable force in a city that never sleeps. If you want to hear how I turn every heartbreak into empowerment, like and subscribe to be a part of my next chapter.